Yo, this is Quentin Moore chilling in the cigar lounge.
This is the Captain, Hobo King 82. Hi, guys! Yo, this is MJ from Hot Garbage Cigar Club, and you're watching Cigar Loungin Podcast.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Cigar Loungin Podcast. I'm your host, the local hero, here with Mike King from Aganos Leaf. We're going to have a conversation about cigars, and let's see what happens. All right, everybody? So first of all, thank you for being on the show. That's the most important thing.
My pleasure.
Number two, we're going to get into how you get into the industry, but how did you get into cigars in general?
That's my favorite story, actually. So I'm retired from the Air Force. I retired after 20 years in 2014 down in Charleston, South Carolina.
Mm-hmm.
So my first year at my duty station in Charleston, working a midnight shift, my buddy and I found some cigars a pilot left on the plane. But they weren't really real cigars. They were like, I don't know, Swisher Sweets or Philly Blunts or something in cellophane.
Mm-hmm.
But we wanted to look like we were badasses. So while it was still in the cellophane, we were walking around, like this.
Mm-hmm.
And then my old sergeant, Sergeant Torres, he was in charge of the shift that night. And he said, "What the hell is that in your mouth?" And I said, "It's a cigar." He goes, "That's not a cigar. Come here." He took it out of my mouth, threw it in the trash can, took us into his office. Back then, you weren't supposed to smoke, but they just changed the rule that you couldn't smoke indoors, so nobody cared.
Mm-hmm.
And he pulled out his drawer, had a humidor, and he was Cuban, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So he pulled out some Fuentes, and he took one Fuente, and he took his knife, and then he cut it open, showed us binder, filler, wrapper, everything, and gave us a 2-hour class. And so the next night, my buddy and I went to a store. I think you guys got one down there called Harris Teeter.
Yeah.
And they had a big walk-in humidor down there, and we had an hour lunch break. Bought our first cigars and smoked it the next morning. So, and ever since then, I've been fascinated with it.
Oh, okay. Yeah, our Harris Teeter don't have a humidor, but yeah, we got them. Total Wine does, though. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, Total Wine's one of my clients.
Oh, okay, cool. All
yeah.
Right. So let's go into your journey of how you got into the actual business, the industry.
So I'll go back into my Air Force career a little bit.
Uh-huh.
So I ended up hanging out at local cigar shops after I got involved back in the mid-'90s.
Mm-hmm.
And I ended up talking myself into a part-time job between deployments.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then even when I was in Korea for 2 years, I worked part-time for a guy selling Cuban cigars for cash under the table.
Mm-hmm.
So everywhere I was in the world, no matter where, I found myself a job working cigars, slinging cigars.
Mm-hmm.
And so it didn't take too long until after I retired. My wife and I moved up to Delaware, where we live now.
Mm-hmm.
And she actually got a cigar job before me. She actually worked for Raj in Delaware until she got a job at the university. But I ended up working part-time and started meeting different people. And just one thing led to another. The biggest jump business-wise for me is I ended up working for a wholesaler in Philadelphia. So he was north of Philadelphia. He was very young, and he had vision. So he sent me to all the tobacco stores that you see on the side of the road as you're driving.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and just said my basic, salam alaikum, how are you? And developed relationships. They'd never seen a cigar rep before. I sold them everything from Fuente to Padromo to Rocky to Monte Cristo. I sold them everything, helped them out. And that gave me a lot of drive to do more. And then fast forward a couple years working for him, he ended up selling a lot of Aganorsa Leaf product. So especially their Lunatic line, their JFR line, and their New Cuba line.
It's crazy because I got a Lunatic right here.
Oh, nice!
It's my next one.
Yeah. So we actually really enjoyed selling it, so we called them and said, "Hey, we want a broker for you guys. You're a dedicated broker for the Mid-Atlantic area."
Mm-hmm.
So they hired us in 2020. Yeah, I think 2019.
Mm-hmm.
And so not only did I have all my other customers, but now I got a lot of cigar lounges that they have. So we just started working on it. And then after doing that, making my boss a lot of money, I decided 2 years ago to go on my own and said, listen, I watched you make a lot of money. I want to make money now.
Mm-hmm.
So now I'm independent.
Okay.
So I started off with Aganorsa, still have Aganorsa. That's my bread and butter and my passion. So just because of the history with them, and I'm sure you've seen me do the events, I'll do the tastings.
Mm-hmm.
I talk about the history of the company, the largest landowner in Nicaragua, largest tobacco producer in Nicaragua, 4 largest accounts that they sell tobacco to: True Estate, Fuente, Padron, Altadis. Altadis is the umbrella company for like Romeo and Juliet and Monte Cristo. So, I now fast forward into my 3rd year, I have 4 brands. So Aganorsa Leaf, and then now I switched to predominantly Dominican brands, which I never expected to do that.
Okay.
So I represent Hochi Blanco, who is the one of the oldest families in all of the Dominican Republic for growing tobacco. So since 1936.
Mm-hmm.
So same kind of story. They sell tobacco to a lot of different people, and they grow tobacco for people for all over the world. His brand's called La Galera.
That's
and then, I work for his godson now. Also, that's Abe Flores with PDR Cigars.
Okay.
So, and then I picked up a really exciting brand out of California just very recently. I'm smoking one of them now called the Icarus. A brand called Jake Wyatt, which is growing super fast.
Yeah, I see them too.
So, yeah, really super fast. I'm really excited about them. So that's the 4 brands that I have. And it's pretty exciting.
Now, going independent, how does independency work for the people who don't know?
Well, it's a little scary. So we're called brokers.
Okay.
So in essence, there's only about 6 of us in your area.
Okay.
We all get along. We have a little network. We work together, but we are independent. So LLC independent, solely owned business.
Mm-hmm.
The scary thing is we have to pay for everything ourselves out of our own pocket. So travel, everything. So everybody says, well, yeah, you can write it off. Well, yeah, write it off next year. What about now?
Yeah.
So, I'm just starting. I don't have any. Hey, well, you can use your credit card and get points. Well, I can't even get a credit card right now. I just started.
Yeah.
So, it's been tough, but it's definitely worth it. You're a sales rep for hire, contracted sales rep.
Mm-hmm.
So, the majority of the cigar industry, they use dedicated sales reps on salary.
Mm-hmm.
So if somebody wanted to go in the industry, you have 2 different ways. You can be a sales rep direct for a company, and then they'll probably pay you a decent salary, give you a card for all your expenses, and probably give you a smaller either bonus or commission on top of that.
Mm-hmm.
So, and every company's a little bit different. So with us, we negotiate with each company. So what we want, if there's a smaller company, we negotiate a little bit more because it takes more effort to build up a company.
Mm-hmm.
If it's a company that hasn't succeeded 3 years ago, it was top of the list, and now it's not, we'll negotiate a little bit more because it's going to take more effort to kind of rebuild that brand a little bit. So, but it's fun. It's exciting. Keeps you on your toes. It's this year is probably going to be my most successful year going forward.
Okay.
We got the trade show coming up next weekend.
I was about to ask you about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So let me.
Yeah. So
I got two questions. One, we're gonna go back into get to know you as a person. But let me ask you this: What would cause? I mean, we've saw it, but let's just say, what would cause a cigar brand to take a nosedive, to fall, from their standing?
Yeah, there's multiple things, and I've seen them all.
Mm-hmm.
So if you and I wanted to start a cigar company right now, today, we can. And all we got to do is call any company down in Honduras, Dominican Republic, Mexico, or Dominican Republic,
Mm-hmm.
and say, hey, we want to start a cigar company. And they're going to tell us the cost, tell me the minimum amount of cigars. Then they're going to send us samples to our door.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try our samples out. And then eventually we're going to come up with something and say, all right, this is what we want. We want 3 sizes of this to start. Bam, we have a cigar company. The problem is with those kind of companies is they don't succeed very well. So they might have great marketing. The cigar could be the best cigar you've ever had in your life.
Mm-hmm.
But the problem is they don't have, and you and I would not have, a relationship with the actual company itself.
Mm-hmm.
So we're not down in the factories actually smoking fumas with the blender. The blender will go through, these small leaves rolled up.
Mm-hmm.
You smoke the leaf to taste, that's it, one leaf. You're going to smoke many of them, 30, 40, 50 of them,
Mm-hmm.
to find out what blend you want. So if you're not working with the blender, if you don't own your own factory, if you don't have a personal relationship, it's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of these guys will fall. And then occasionally, sometimes they'll come back, they learn their lessons, and they bought a factory, now they're doing it. So now it takes a lot of creativity to retell their story.
Mm-hmm.
And so another reason that companies fail is support.
Yeah.
So let's say you have the best company in the world, but you don't have boots on the ground,
Mm-hmm.
like reps or brokers. So you go to a trade show, you're brand new, and then you end up you do a great show, you sell probably, $100,000 worth of cigars, but your customers are now in 9 different states.
Mm-hmm.
How do you support them? You can't. So what happens is, if no matter how many times you call them, if they don't have somebody there in their presence, the retailer is going to cut you out.
Yeah.
Because he's got 300 other options where people are actually walking in and supporting and get to know the customers.
Yeah.
So that's another way they fail.
Mm-hmm.
The only exception to that rule is Padron. Padron has never had reps on the road, ever. They're family-owned business, family only, and they have survived doing their thing. No swag. I mean, just so.
Yeah, when you said that, I just thought about that. You're right. I've never saw their name on anything other than cigar.
Never. You'll never see the Padron family outside of trade shows. Very rarely will you see them at a cigar event. So it has to be something extremely special.
Yeah.
So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I just thought about that when you said that.
You can't work for them unless you speak Cuban Spanish, because I tried to apply for a job with them when I retired.
Yeah, I just thought about that. Like, wow, it is right. I don't remember seeing, like, how you normally see, like, I got right now, I got a Crown Heads hat, but you don't see their name on hats, shirts, pins, nothing.
No, and then when you order, they send you what's available. So
I guess they're very protective of their brand, which could be a good thing.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's get into you. So let's get into your child. Where you from? The upbringing. What happens?
All right. Well, originally I was born and raised in Texas.
Okay.
And I left Texas when I was 19 for the Air Force.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go very far from Texas, as far as from the South. I stayed in hot, humid places, training in Mississippi, and then he got stationed in Charleston. So I stayed in Charleston. I was in Charleston for 17 of my 20 years. I'm deployed from Charleston all over the place.
Mm-hmm.
I did 2 years in Korea, came back to Charleston. I did a 1-year combat tour in Afghanistan, came back to Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
So I pretty much, I like to call Charleston home. That's more of a home for me than Texas.
Mm-hmm.
I met my wife my last year in the military. She's not military at all. She's from Brooklyn, New York.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I retired, I was kind of tired. I didn't want to work for the government. I didn't work for any government agencies. I didn't want to work for any government contractors. I was just kind of exhausted.
Yeah, want to be out of it.
So I ended up, I wanted to get out and do my own thing. So I ended up working for Trader Joe's grocery store, bagging groceries for rich old white ladies down in South Carolina. I loved it.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fun. Everybody got along. It was a great job. And so what inspired me was I went to the manager and said, listen, I want to make this a career. And so I want to be able to go into management. And he said, the only way you're going to be in management is you got to move up to Philly.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, really? He goes, yeah, there's a lot of opportunities in Philadelphia. So he called me up and said, listen, I got a position for you outside of Philadelphia, Wilmington, Delaware.
Mm-hmm.
So they'll train you to be a manager, and then you can pretty much take any store you want in Philly. I said, all right, let's do it. So I moved it up here to Delaware on the flying flip of a coin. My wife and I, I still had a $14.75 an hour job. My wife didn't have a job now. She left her job to do this.
Mm-hmm.
And we just blindly moved up here on faith. And so worked for Trader Joe's. Didn't like it up here with Trader Joe's. It was more corporate. Didn't feel the same. And the corporate manager came down once and said, I have a name tag. She forgot my name 3 times, and it's on my name tag,
Mm-hmm.
So very fake. I didn't like it. So I went a different direction. I tried to go back to school in Philly. GI Bill paid me, enough. And then to support my way, I started working for cigar shops again. I worked for Delaware Cigars. And then that's when I started meeting different people. So
now, how is it? I'm not far from Delaware. How is the smoking scene up there? Well, would you be you know for me. How's the smoking scene up there?
Oh, it's great. Great. So Delaware's expanding a lot. There's a guy, I think it's Pat Singh. He has a bar in Middletown, Delaware called Cigar Sessions.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a very large cigar bar. Not as big as the box.
Mm-hmm.
But it's decent. So it's brought a lot of smokers in. Before, the only places to smoke were there was a small place in the back of a store, and then you had Sidecar Cigar Lounge, which is in Middletown, Delaware, which still is packed every night, but it's small.
Mm-hmm.
So, but in Delaware, a lot of people were traveling. They were going to Philly. They were going to Baltimore, New York, New Jersey. So, what I see in this Mid-Atlantic. When there's a big event, there's a lot of people from New Jersey that travel down to the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
In Waltham.
Yeah.
For special event. And then same thing, I see people up here from DC, Maryland.
Mm-hmm.
I've been in New Jersey. Like, for example, I have a big event in Atlantic City coming up in May called Atlantic City Cigar Herf or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
People came from all over the nation for that. The first one was last year, 600 people and pouring down rain. This year's going to be 600 people again. So, people travel, to do, and it surprises me when I have a cigar event, especially with Aganorsa Leaf. People come in from all over.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's that's really unique about this area. It's the rest of the country, people are more focused on the local shops around the area.
Yes.
But around here, people like to cigar lounge hop. They have their home lounge, which they're at most of the time, but they'll hop around to see friends and events and stuff like that.
Yeah, I noticed that too. I'm originally from Chicago. I went to school outside of Pittsburgh. When I was in Pittsburgh had so many lounges. I'm just lounge hopping, or I might be in Cleveland, or I might be somewhere else. Then I come here. I'm in Waldorf. I might be in D.C., Baltimore. I've smoked everywhere but Delaware. I've hopped all around Delaware. I've been in Philly, Atlantic City, Cape May, the Eastern Shore. I just never went to Delaware. I don't know why. I've never really had anybody from Delaware like, yo, it's a good smoking scene up here. So I'm out there.
There's a new one in Atlantic City. It's called Tennessee Avenue Cigars.
I heard about that.
Yeah, you definitely got to check them out. It's really good.
I'm not checking
So
out.
Atlantic City's about to go no smoking for the whole city except for that one place.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna check them out.
Yeah.
So what do you? So let me ask you this. I ask a lot of people this. What do you think is the up and coming cigar city?
Up and coming cigar city.
Yeah.
Right now, the cigar reps' dream of cigar city is Pittsburgh. So Pittsburgh, what's unique about that is all the shops get along really well.
I found that out too. Yeah.
So if you're a rep, you impress one shop, whatever they order from you or not, they're gonna call 5 more shops and say, this guy's coming up there. You gotta listen to him. He's a great guy.
Mm-hmm.
So they're very loyal to the person more than the brand. And so, and then when there's a cigar event at a shop, you'll see shop owners and shop staff from other shops come and support the event.
Mm-hmm.
So it's very dynamic. And as far as up and coming, I mean, they had 5 new cigar lounges and distilleries pop up in the last year in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, that go back.
So I would say in my territory, up and coming, Pittsburgh would be the place. So it's done nothing but getting better.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, growth-wise, I don't see a lot of growth anywhere else. I don't see a lot of new stuff opening up. DC's changed its dynamic immensely. Mm-hmm. So you have TG. She's done a lot. DC and expanded her lounge, dramatically. And then you have what's Diane's place called down in? Can't remember it.
Shirley's.
So not Shirley's. This is down in DC. So the in the Mid-Atlantic, especially, the dynamic of cigar lounges is changing because you get not just female-owned cigar lounges, you're getting black female-owned cigar lounges.
Mm-hmm.
So the demographics has changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in the last 10 years, the amount of people of color smoking cigars and being in the industry very strong has changed dramatically, totally changing the environment, totally changing the direction of where things are going.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I strongly believe that our territory, which when I say our territory, I'm talking from DC to New York, has contributed the most to that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Atlanta, now I'm not too familiar with Atlanta. I haven't been to Atlanta in years. Atlanta is also a huge cigar city. The cigar shop lounges are everywhere. They popped up. So, I mean, I'd like to take a trip down there one day just to check it out.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question. If you know right now, or if you know then what you know right now, and you're getting into the industry, what advice would you give yourself?
Plan ahead. And I would say shut your mouth. Don't ask a million questions and just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, because that's what I've learned.
Okay.
Is I've learned myself, if I could tell my younger self when I'm starting, I asked a million people a million questions, hoping somebody would talk me out of it.
Mm-hmm.
And so here I am hyping somebody up with what I want to do, and then I never end up doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Can't tell you how many times I've done that, And so I would tell my younger self, just shut up, go with your gut, and follow it. Just do it.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's the wrong decision, it's a learning opportunity. You move on.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say, I've been on the road now for 7 years. And that would probably be the biggest lesson I learned. I had a very dear friend, retailer friend of mine, pulled me aside about a little over a year ago and said, "Michael, I love you. You're the best. I think you're amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to shut your fucking mouth." And it hurt my feelings. I got to be honest with you.
Yeah.
I was hurt. But this came from somebody that had my best interest in mind.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "Listen, you sit there, you talk about this, you talk about that, focus on what you're doing. Don't let nobody know what you're doing tomorrow or the next day or whatever. Just do what you do." And he said, he said, "I'm really successful. Do you know what I did yesterday? Do you know what I'm doing tomorrow?" I said, "No." He goes, "Exactly." So he made a good point.
That is a good point.
I would say that's probably the most valuable advice I would give to my younger self.
That's a really good point.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I've talked to a lot of cigar brand makers from small to medium, and they all have had something of that nature. Just go out and do it instead of talking yourself out of it. And I was going to ask you about that, the trade shows. Now, what trade shows do you, as an independent, go to? You just go to the big ones, or you go to, like, you pick one, like you pick a couple, like, okay, I know we're gonna have a lot of people here, How do you decide which ones to go to?
Well, as a broker, we actually don't have to go to the trade shows, but it would be a career killer for us not to go.
Yeah.
So this is the first year I didn't go to the first of the year trade show called the TPE.
Yeah, I was there.
Yeah, Total Product Expo. So I just couldn't justify it because the PCA Premium Cigar is next weekend.
Yeah, move them on.
So being 5 weeks apart or whatever it was. Normally the two trade shows are 6 months away from each other. So I just couldn't justify. And not only that, but in the wintertime up here as a cigar rep, like I had the opportunity to go down to the Dominican Republic with Hochi Blanco. And I felt bad, but I turned them down. Because November, man, I got to hustle. I can't take a week off. You know, it's getting cold up here. So, you know, time away is very, very, very precious because that's a whole week of visits you're not doing.
Yeah.
And so, if I know that most of my retailers are not going to be at that trade show, I can't justify it. So, PCA, this year's PCA is going to be huge. Huge. So it's the last one they're having in Vegas. Next year it's going to be in April. It's going to be in New Orleans.
Yeah, I'm going to go to next year.
So, yeah. I might go to the TPE next year, just out of curiosity, just to see the difference. That's because I don't have to go to Vegas twice now.
Yeah, that's what fucked me up.
And then go to New Orleans.
That's what fucked me up. That's what fucked me up. I went to TPE this year. I was like, oh damn, PCA, I can't make that because we're going back to Vegas in May. I'm like, I got to recoup from fucking from January. I spent $20 on a fucking CEO Brazil, y'all. I was like, God damn, I need to get this money back.
Yeah, since being a broker, I save money, so I'm going there for work, not vacation. So, and I got to keep my mind sharp. So, you're on your feet all day long at the trade show, and as a broker, you're not at one place. You're moving around. There's 4 different locations. And, you know, some brokers have 7 cigar brands, 9 cigar brands. They're moving around 7, 9 places. I've done that. I started with 7. And so you're exhausted at the end of the day. And now you got to go to the bar where everybody's at, hang out at the bar, you know. And so I normally, this year be an exception, I normally do an Airbnb or rent an apartment off the strip. So for mental health reasons, so I can kind of just reset myself. And then financial reasons, I'm not paying $50 for a hamburger. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I go to the grocery store and I get me some food to cook for breakfast. And then, you know, off the strip, everything's normal prices. Even cigars are normal prices.
Yeah.
So, it's, but this year I'll be staying just because this PCA is right in the middle of March Madness. So apparently that's one of the biggest times in Vegas where people are coming and going. Yeah. So the hotels aren't cheap. So I'm actually splitting the hotel with a buddy of mine, Kev Stone. He's got a podcast called Smoke World. Yeah. So Kev and I are going to be splitting a room this year. So, but but like next year, New Orleans, I'm looking forward to that. I'm definitely going to do Airbnb.
I am too. I got some people down there I'm going to stay with. But yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah.
That messed me up too because TPE happened right around the Super Bowl. I was like, oh my god. I stayed at the Signature, which ain't on the strip. But damn, getting around. I could imagine March Madness.
I've never been to Vegas without a rental car. I always get a rental car. Just a little tidbit on rental car savings. If you have a Costco membership, use Costco Travel. I save about 30-40% every single time.
Okay. I see. I got that. I didn't know that. Okay. See, you don't put me on there.
This year I'm using an app called Turo. It's like
Airbnb. I use them. Yeah, Turo. Yeah.
So I'll be using Turo this year, but I always get a rental car. I always get it. Usually, I always walk away for about $250, $300 for the whole week. So for a rental,
That's a
and
good price.
because when you're there during busy time, man, that Uber line and taxi line is long. If you got an appointment, if you got to be at a dinner or meet somebody somewhere, you're gonna be late. So, and most of Vegas is free parking. So, I just rent a car, and it's an advantage too. You got friends. I got clients or friends that'll be flying in. I'll go pick them up from the airport. That kind of thing. So, so I couldn't. That's why I'm down to 4 brands now. I so uh, making appointments is the biggest thing. The problem is your appointment slot. So the idea is you grab your retailer and you take them to all of your brands, at once. So, but sometimes they don't want to see one of your brands. They want only 3 of the 7, and or and they meet you at certain times. But just say for me, I made hour slot appointments with my people. Well, that gives me 15 minutes at each place, in and out. So that's still not enough time. Now, I heard last night at the event I did, I heard the best advice I've ever heard, which I'm going to do in the future. There's some old school brokers back in the day that started the broker game. One of them's name is Bob Morrison. He and his wife, Ricky Morrison, they're legends. They've long since retired. Ricky passed away. But Bob Morrison apparently used to send out emails before the trade show and said, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to be at this booth. From this time to this time, I'm going to be at this booth. And just gave out a time appointment where he's going to be for the rest of the trade show. So people come to him. So he didn't make appointments because appointments, man, they always, somebody's running late from the last appointment and then makes you late for the next appointment, and, it's, you got a client that you absolutely 100% love, and they're hanging out. They want to joke, they want to talk, and they're going to put an order in for really low order. The guy that has an appointment next is already running over is going to put in an order that's going to carry you for financially for the whole year, and you don't want to make that person upset and walk away because now you lost all that money. So it's a careful balance. It's it's adrenaline. I mean, it's 100% adrenaline, but it's a lot of fun. Stressful at times, but But the brands I have this year. I'm pretty excited about supporting all 4 of those brands. So I have a good working relationship with all 4 of them, and it should go good. I purposely made half my schedule on an appointment just because I want some free time to be able to meet other people. So yeah, that's the hardest part about doing this job. I don't have a boss, so you got to get up every morning, and motivate yourself. So I don't have anybody. Um, the only people that can fire me are the guys I work with, and they can say we no longer need your services, and they'll only do that if the numbers aren't showing. So if I stay at home, I might sit on my ass for 6, 7 days a week and do nothing, but I'm making a shit ton of sales. They don't care because their numbers are high. If I'm on the road and I'm zigzagging around and I don't have a very set way of doing things and the numbers go down, then they do care. So, and you got to think there's over 300 some odd people in my area. that I need to see, and I need to see everybody at least once every 2 months. So yeah, and now that's including New York City. So um, so you got to pick and choose, and it's tough because you got a guy said, "Man, I hadn't seen you," and they'll say, "I haven't seen you in over a year." Now you might, I probably stopped in one day and he wasn't there or whatever, but in their mind, I got to figure out how to fix that. So I got to go in there and tap hands and smile and say, "Hey, listen, I'm learning. Let's do this. Let's do that." So you got to be genuine and honest and smile and actually have their best interest. Because as a broker, another thing as a broker that I've been taught by other brokers that have been around, the companies I work with are not my boss. The retailers I work for are my boss. So I have 300 bosses. So you know, I got to keep them all happy. Sometimes I get like 20 miles down the road and I pull over to take a phone call. Next thing you know, I'm taking 7 other phone calls. you know, and you're putting out fires. So um, another thing that's real difficult for me to learn, if anybody wants to do this kind of job, work-life balance is really, really important. So I I'm bad at setting boundaries. I'll work 7 days straight, 18 hours a day, and not even miss a, you know. But the problem is, I'm missing out on family. I'm missing out on personal time. So you got to take that personal time. You got to reset. You got to do things. I mean, so that's the hardest thing to do especially when you have your own business, because you know you want to succeed. You want to hit the top. You're not doing this for nothing. So you make your own retirement plan. You're not, things go south. You don't have, I can't go to unemployment line, you know? So, um, so that's kind of the biggest lesson. But a lot of these lessons I learned from other brokers have been around for a while, you know? Um, oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm very grateful for, um, being a new guy out there a couple years ago. All the brokers and some of the reps were very eager to give me solid advice. So, and now I'm not the young guy anymore. I got people calling me now, and which makes me feel pretty good. So, and so it's good. Now I am what's changing for me is I am bringing on a partner in a couple months. I can't say who it is legally right now, uh, but my partner and I will be doing. So if you see us at a cigar event, we'll both be at the cigar event working on. So, for example, at the box, somebody be working the crowd at the box, and somebody be working the door. So, and the idea is two of us are working the exact same territory. So, if I got 40 people to see in a week, we can each see 4 to 5 people a day separately and meet in the middle. So, that's the idea. Well, actually, I'll show you. I don't know if I can pan it out, but that's my vision board. That's my affirmation board. Um, I started doing that in December. I I I don't do everything all day, but I do at least three. I read a book called Miracle Morning, and so I start my mornings as early as possible. Sometimes it's 5 a.m. Sometimes, like last night, I didn't get home till 12:30, so I got up at 9 this morning. Um, so I start my day with meditation, and somebody else can do it with prayer, whatever it works for you. But for me, it's meditation. I'll sit for between 5 minutes to 20 minutes, in silence or guided meditation. And then I exercise. Right now I just do a bunch of push ups, as many as I can. I'm up to 75 a day. And, but it just gets my adrenaline going. It makes me feel like accomplished, is what the main thing is. And then the third thing is I do a set of affirmations. I have affirmations I read out loud to myself every day, and then I see this vision board or whatever thing on there. I just look at it for about 5-10 minutes, just kind of think about the future, what I want to see, my goals, and then two other important things is journaling, writing down for a couple minutes, and reading something inspirational. For at least a couple pages. So sometimes I can knock the whole thing out in 10 minutes. Sometimes I can do the whole thing in 2 hours. Depends on what my schedule is and how I feel and what kind of. But the most important thing for me is at least I do some of it every day. Um, that's helped me a lot with my mindset, with self care. Um, being in the military, I retired as a master sergeant. It was fuck this, fuck you, fuck, and I realized how negative I was getting, you know. And if somebody pissed me off, man, I got a hell of a temper. So, um, and that just threw me off. So if a guy was a real jerk or an idiot, I got to realize it's got nothing to do with me. It's them. So I know how to let it roll off now. So that's the outcome of that is when uh, if somebody says, yeah, Mike will handle all that, don't worry about it. Then they ask you, Mike, how come you didn't handle that? And I said, well, I got notes right here saying that you were going to do it. You know, and and but it doesn't matter. They're still going to sit there and say, no, that's not true. They want to argue. Well, I don't even argue anymore because you got to think about how important is it to argue, you know? Because I'm not going to change this person. This person's 60 years old and been acting like this his whole life. The few words I'm going to tell him right now is not going to change his life and say, oh, yeah, he's right. So I just nod my head, you know, and play it wrong because it's not that important to get upset anymore. My wife was afraid I was going to have a stroke with some of these guys. So, uh, it's sometimes it's just difficult because you think one of I guess one of the challenges of being a broker, um, when I get a phone call from a company that say, hey, we would like you to work with us, I have a checklist, and I say, all right, well, let me interview you, and I want to know first. I ask them about their tobacco, their farms, their processes. I ask them realistically what their numbers were in the past year. Because if you sold $45,000 in cigars as a new company, but you want me to sell 1 million this year, that's unrealistic. You know, we can't work together. Um, and the other thing is, I'll look at their social media. I'll dig in to see how they act. What they say. If they're just spewing political bullshit out all day long, I don't want to work with you because that reflects on me. Um, if they're known to get passed out drunk at every cigar event they do, I don't want to work with you because you're going to do something embarrassing. It reflects on me. Um, and then another thing is organization. If you say something and if it's not written down, it never happened. That's my motto. So um, if it's not in text or email or something like that, it never happened. I don't care how serious the matter was. You know, So my wife will tell you the words I hate the most in this world is we talked about this. No, we didn't. So that's my checklist, and so usually a couple shortly after the brand owner will come and ride with me, and we'll see how we gel riding together. Um, I did a 7 day straight with Neil Garcia, the owner of Jake Wyatt Cigars. I got to tell you, I love all the companies I work with, but that was the most enjoyable ride I've ever had with somebody. That guy he's on point, organized. He had all the shit together, just everything. And you can't help but being inspired being around this guy. You know, I mean, just every morning we shared an Airbnb up in Pittsburgh. Every morning he was high fiving, let's go. I mean, so that's the kind of people I want to work with. So because if somebody wants to be a broker, you're going to get a calls from all kinds of people. You know, People in Nicaraguans have a brand. They want to sell you. They want you to work for them. You know, nobody's ever heard of. It could be the best thing that ever happened, but it could be the biggest mistake you ever made. So, so it's different. Anybody listen to podcasts? I mean, you can reach out to me anytime if you got questions about being in this industry, about cigars, about rumors, about anything. I'm a straight shooter. I am a straight shooter. So I'll tell you exactly, the no nonsense. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. So we have a tendency in this industry to exaggerate. So there's a certain publication out there that everybody reads online that likes to exaggerate. Uh, 3 years ago, they put on their headline, UPS will no longer deliver cigars to retailers. The whole industry panicked. The whole industry. I mean, because UPS is the only one that will deliver for us. So I call UPS. They didn't have a clue what I was talking about. So what really happened was it was the time point where the U.S. had changed to a 21 years of age minimum age to buy cigars. So UPS was working on a way to verify that you're 21 on the signature. That was the whole thing. All the biggest companies were freaking out, and nobody picked up the phone to figure out what was really going on. You know, there's another one, New York, cigar tax is 75%. So they went up a couple of years ago, right in the middle of COVID, and so it's already a bad thing. But the thing is, the 75% is applied to what the retailer bought it for at wholesale, not for the price. So if it's only a $15 cigar, you're not going to get charged an extra 75%. So, and that's the way it was presented to people, and it scared a lot of people. So, it's like any place else. So, I picked up New York in August, the territory. I've never been more excited to pick up a territory in my life. I love New York. Um, New York's one of those places where you want to keep going. You know, so you start early in the morning, and man, it's now I say, man, I want to go to the Bronx and see this guy. You ended up at 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. You know, but you keep going because you just don't even know what time it is. It just gives you this energy. And what I realized when I started going to New York is, they said, man, we haven't seen a lot of cigar reps since their tax went up. That's because a lot of cigar. That's because they were when it started, they weren't buying it because they were afraid. But now, man, almost every lounge I go to is packed in New York, packed. So, I mean, I don't see it missing a beat. So, New Yorkers are going to smoke, they're going to buy. So, I mean, the biggest challenge with every retailer is people buying online. So they'll find an online source and they'll get it cheaper, not just because the price isn't necessarily cheaper, but because a lot of the online places don't apply the New York tax to it. So, um, but even with that challenge, they still seem to do fine. I last 4 months I've done 6 events in New York, and every event has been packed to the brim. So yeah. Hmm. Yeah, as a retailer, um, you can play with the numbers. So as long as the state gets paid, the state doesn't care how much you sell the cigar for. So um, so if you have a cigar where you can make more margins on it, you can use those margins and apply that to help pay you tax to make your prices go down a little bit. Uh, and then and then you got a lot of stuff that's not taxed. So if you have accessories, you know, I mean, cutters, lighters, everything. Upselling is really important. If you can upsell in your shop, that'll cover a lot of your cigar tax expenses. So because that you're not getting taxed on those, so you can charge whatever you want. If you got a free ashtray, you can raffle it off. Buy 5 cigars, get this ticket or whatever. You can get extremely creative. So, um, I this is very controversial, but I don't mind glass shops and tobacco stores and hookah stores. I don't mind those. I think those guys are pretty smart because the thing is, you're not getting taxed on the hookah lamp, the pipe. You're not getting taxed on the glass. So the more of that you sell, the more of that you can apply to your cigars. So the profits from that. When people say, "Well, I don't want glass into my lounge," well, if it was me, I would have a glass hookah store right next door to my cigar lounge. You know, and I would use all those profits because you could probably pay your rent in one day. Sales with glass and apply those profits next door, and you'd beat out all your competition. So, mm, mm, mm. Well, they're doing one. Yeah, they're doing one of two things. They're doing exactly what I just said, or they just don't know what they're doing. So, yeah, yeah. Hmm. Funny you should say that. So that was my number one dream leaving the military. I wanted to open up a cigar lounge, and um, I'm glad I didn't, because I can walk away right now. You know, I'm in a lounge. I'm doing my thing. I don't have to stay. I got offered. A lot of people offered to partner with me to open a cigar lounge, and I'd be very good at it, and I would enjoy it. The problem is I can't get away. So, employees, who's going to show up on time if they show up at all? Um, Vacations out of the picture. You know, so I do want to open up a lounge, but not right now. I think when I come to a point where I feel like I don't really want to go anywhere, I think the lounge I open up though, I'm not going to open a lounge to make a lot of money. I think I'm going to be at a point where I just want to lounge because I want to smoke with my friends. So, um, I got these ideas of how I want to do a lounge. Everything from an old gas station, roll up doors. A retired Air Force. I wouldn't mind having one at an airport with a hangar. Uh, and I've even thought about doing it overseas, like in Thailand, Philippines, that kind of thing. A cigar lounge. So just relaxing every day. But um, it's up here, but it's not forefront right now. So I'd be good at it. I would love it, but not ready for it. Tim, got a hook, got a hook as a hand. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's called the Dirty Dog. Yeah, yeah. Tim's a great guy. Yeah, yeah. He lives upstairs. They live upstairs. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. I've never sold anything to him, but he's the reason I get my sales because he calls everybody for me. So I hang out there a lot. I haven't seen them in a couple months. I'll be up in Pittsburgh after the show. I'll probably go by and say hello to them. Yeah. Mhm. 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 Pittsburgh's the only way, only place. I mean, there's a lot. Don't get me wrong. There's a lot of lounges that get along great, in this area. Um, but it's a lot more competitive around here. So, I mean, I can't tell you how many discussions I've had where people say, "Man, I love that guy. I love that guy. Hey, do me a favor. How's he doing this though?" You know,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I said, "Man, I don't know. Call him." You know, uh, so or I get a call say, "Hey, I saw this guy's doing this right here. How come you didn't give me that opportunity?" Man, I don't know. Call him. Had nothing to do with me. So, uh, but that's why I said Pittsburgh. Man, that's a rep secret.
Mm-hmm.
Um, everybody. Um, man, if you could do good in Pittsburgh, I mean, you could do good anywhere
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, it's just it gives you that motivation. You every time you finish a route in Pittsburgh, you feel like, man, I made it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the right job. This is the best thing in the world because you just feel good. So yeah, it's just really really nice.
Yeah, I enjoy it. That's one of my little favorite smoking. So a lot of people don't know about it, but that's one of my favorite smoking cities. I've been trying to tell everybody
Yeah,
about. Yeah, you got to go to Pittsburgh, man. Yeah, Tampa, turn around Tampa's that's the mecca. Yeah, you know,
yeah,
you got other places, New York, Philly, Chicago,
yeah.
starting to come up with their cigar scene as well. But I'm like Pittsburgh to me, that's my favorite.
I've been asking. So Pittsburgh has a cigar crawl every year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I've been asking the Pittsburgh retailers. I think they should do a Pittsburgh cigar event, but instead of having the manufacturers cigar brands sponsoring it,
Mm-hmm.
they should all sponsor it themselves. They all go in on it. So the big sign doesn't say CAO, Aganorsa, Cohiba,
Mm-hmm.
The sign will say Dirty Dog, Smoke and Brews,
Mm-hmm.
and because they'll all be there. They all know each other. They all go in on it together,
Mm-hmm.
So the thing is, so they can all use their buying power together to buy more from, us.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I mean, it'd be great. I told them people would come from all over. I know people take a bus from New York and go straight there
Mm-hmm.
for it.
Yeah, I definitely
So
drive up.
yeah, I mean, just it's worth it.
Yeah.
So yeah, and it's a nice drive from where you're at because you go up through Western Maryland. You can do the toll-free route
Yeah, I go to
all the
that.
way up.
Or I could do straight up. As long as it ain't winter, I don't mind going straight up through the Allegheny. If it is winter though,
Mhm.
I do go around. I hate going up that mountain in the
Oh yeah.
winter.
Oh yeah, well, yeah. I remember one time it was wind chill a couple years ago, right around Christmas time. It was wind chill was -18.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh yeah, it was bad. I had to stop. I had to pull over the side of the road to piss. I didn't think it. Oh, I mean, it was crazy. And then because my everything was frozen,
Mm-hmm.
even my wind chill solution, I had to pull over just to scrape the ice off. I mean, that was a long trip.
Well, let me ask
So
you something. Speaking of that, I always wanted this. So you come from Texas, because I always wanted this. I'm trying to get the hell away from the cold. Why do y'all? Like, it'd be a lot of people from the South coming to North. I'm like, why? It's so cold. I'm tired of the cold. I don't want to see snow no more. I'm tired of this. It don't snow here
yeah,
as
I'm,
much,
I'm
but still.
yeah, I'm different. I got tired of taking 4 showers a day. So with the humidity,
Yeah.
I like the 4 seasons. I like the cold.
Ugh.
Um, I like. Well, here's the thing: is you can always put more clothes on, but you can only take so many clothes off.
That's
Um,
that. I mean, that's what they
so
say. I mean, that's what they say. But
and and people, it's 30 degrees out, and I'm wearing short sleeve. Well, that's because I'm in my car, and from my car, I'm going straight inside.
yeah,
And back, so it's not that big of a deal.
yeah. I mean, it
Yeah,
don't get as cold here as it does back home, but still, I'm like, I'm tired of this cold.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I've never experienced a Chicago winter, so
don't do it.
Yeah,
go in the spring, summer, fall. Don't do the winter.
Yeah, it's I like it, but and I do miss like I said, I'll always be Charleston in my heart.
Mm-hmm.
I miss the Bluff Mud, the title changes, I miss the dolphins and the manatees, and even the alligators. I miss the alligators. So yeah, I mean it's just peaceful there. I used to sit on my dock, on the river, it's gorgeous.
See, that's what I need. I found though, because I used to live a little further south than Lexington Park. I used to go to Solomon's Island, and I found out that smoking cigars at night by the water is dangerous. Because I was sitting on the bench and I just, oh shit, I've been out here for 2 hours.
Oh, yeah, that happened to me. My dogs were with me. My dog started whimpering and woke me up. That's because there was a big old gator, coming up. So, but
very relaxing.
Yeah, I like it.
Very relaxing.
Yeah, I mean, I go out there fish. I always tell people I'm the best fisherman you'll ever meet. I'm just the worst catcherman. So
at a certain point, you got your cigar, you got your libations. Is it really about catching fish at that point? I just pull over at the market and grab a fish. I don't care no more.
Yeah. I remember one time I went kayaking in Charleston, and they told me, "Hey, let you know, sir, I rented a canoe."
Mm-hmm.
And they said, "Sir, the winds are high." It was at one of the little plantation areas where they had, And I said, "Hey, I just want to go out, smoke a cigar. I have my little flask with me,
Mm-hmm.
I'm rolling." And I put my oar down, and the log that I hit started moving. It wasn't a log; it was alligator. Oh shit! And then, so I started rolling a little bit more, and it was like I was blind the whole time. My eyes opened up, and there were dozens and dozens of gators everywhere. Everywhere. So I said, well, I better get back. So I started paddling, and every time I tried to turn, it went back this way. Because the winds. They had to send a tour boat out to come rescue me. But all I did was I rode myself to the side. I lit up another cigar, kicked back. And I said, as long as I don't bother them, they're not going to bother me.
Mm-hmm.
And just relax still. But yeah, that's all it's about.
Yeah.
I mean, how many cigars you smoke every day?
Depends. If I'm at my real job, I ain't gonna say my real. If I'm at my career, my field, I might smoke 2 a day because I'm a mechanic by trade. Yeah. So it's crazy. I could. So here's the problem. So I like to get on IG with my buddies, from around the world, smoke. Mm-hmm. And if I'm just sitting there talking to them, nobody comes in. But as soon as I light a cigar, everybody wants to come in. So my day off maybe 3.
Yeah.
If I'm at work, I could luckily possibly get off 1.5, maybe 2.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I usually smoke 3 cigars a day is my average.
Yeah, that's about my average.
When I'm driving, 5.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm doing an event, who knows? 4-hour event, I'm smoking the whole time. So, I mean, I don't understand if you're a cigar rep why you doing an event and you're not smoking.
Yeah.
You gotta smoke.
I think we went to Cigar International, me and some of the buddies, and I promise you, we had to smoke about 7 or 8 a day. Mm-hmm. I know we went through a box easy. We went the whole weekend. Went through a box easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's a little running joke about being a cigar rep, is because they said, why'd you become a cigar rep or a cigar broker? Well, I got tired of paying for cigars.
Oh, yeah. All right, so let me ask you, we're going to get up out of here. But let me ask you this. If the people want to reach you, where could they reach you at?
Right now, Instagram, Michael, Michael, King, King, 1092. It's Michael King, 1092. Mm-hmm. Would be the best way.
I'm definitely give you a follow.
Yeah. So
text that to me so I can follow you.
I will. Yeah. And I have a business one. It's Flightline Cigars. That's my name of my company. Mm-hmm. But when I bring on my partner, the whole company name, everything's going to change. Mm-hmm. So we'll be pushing that out really quite quick, because my partner and I will be doing podcast, Instagram stuff every week. Mm-hmm. So we'll be going live every week. We'll get on with you together, that kind of thing. So we're going to be pushing the marketing pretty heavy. So, but right now, yeah, Michael King 1092, and like I said, reach out anytime, any questions. I check Instagram all day long, for private messages. So slip into my DMs. I don't give a fuck. So yeah, yeah, we'll do it. I appreciate it, brother.
Oh, no problem. I appreciate you being on, man. Like I said, I was just going to grab cigars. He's like, oh, hold on. You got a podcast. You got to talk to Mike King. He's one of the best reps around. I was like, okay, cool. They just gave me the number.
Who told you that, by the way?
Oh, shit. Was it Dre? Shit. I've been drinking. It might have been Dre. I forgot who it was. But, he was like, yeah, go ahead. He's like, I'm going to call him right now. Let him know you're going to give him a call. Like, I can't just call him. I'm going to text first because I want to just call him. Like, so I was like, I'm going to text. But yeah, he's like, yeah, you got to get him on the podcast. I was like, all right, I got you. I get a lot of my guests through the box.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'll be down there. I'll be making a trip down there right after the PCA. Mm-hmm. So probably first week of April, somewhere around there. So I'll let you know when I'm coming down.
Yeah, let me know. I'll be here, definitely.
Yeah, be a set schedule. Mm-hmm. So you guys, just let you know, the box, let me go throw a couple props out. You guys are what we call Aganorsa Select account. Mm-hmm. So at the box, so there's only about 160 in the whole U.S. Mm-hmm. So you get the rare leaf reserve, which is only certain accounts, and then of course you get more of the Supreme leaf. The new ones just got shipped this week, so you'll be getting those next week.
Well, I'm definitely gonna try those.
Yeah. So so you'll get a little bit extra love from us, Aganorsa.
Oh, good looking.
So yeah, I'll be down there soon enough. I know Russell asked me to come down all the time, so
yeah. All right, man. It's been a pleasure, man. Thank you for coming on the show. Make sure you text me that so I can follow you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me.
All right, no problem.
Anytime.
All right,
brother.
All right, always.
All right, see ya.
Catch you. It's always when your local hero reminding you, blow your smoke like a goddamn gentleman and gentlewoman, and we out.
What's up, everybody? It's your local hero. Thank you for watching the video. I want you to like, share, subscribe. Catch us on YouTube, right here on YouTube. Make sure you catch us on YouTube. I want you to catch us on Facebook, Cigar Loungin Podcast, Rumble, Cigar Loungin Podcast, Spotify, Cigar Loungin Podcast, Anchor FM, Cigar Loungin Podcast, TikTok, Cigar Loungin Podcast. I want you to catch us on IG. You can catch us under the Gentleman or Cigar Loungin Podcast. Either one of those works. So go ahead. Thank you guys for liking the video. I hope you liked the video. And follow us on all our social media sites. We everywhere you get your shit from.